Boom, guys, Airbnb Jamz. We're live like every single Tuesday, guys. I am your host, Mamadou Diallo, and I am with my co-hosts, Marta Miner and Hong Mai. And today's episode, guys, is going to be a case study. So we're going to talk about deals we're either in the middle of doing or we already done and go through the whole, like how we found it, why did we decide it's a good Airbnb, and, maybe like the design and stuff process, how did we raise the funds, right? So we're gonna go over that because we get these questions all the time. Hey, how are you finding these properties? How are you finding the designer? How you decide even that you're gonna do Airbnb? Why not rental, right? So just that. So if you have any questions, make sure you put in the comments below, and I'm going to let my co-hosts introduce themselves. What's up, Murder?
Hey. Thank you for the introduction. So my name is Marta Miner. I'm a real estate investor, but mostly what I call myself is like a hospitality expert, because that is my favorite thing to do, is teach people how to present their product in a way that guests love it and appreciate it, and how to get 5-star reviews. Like, that is what I love to do. So hospitality, guest satisfaction. Airbnb just happens to be a good vehicle for me because it marries pretty much all my interests, like design, customer service, just providing like this amazing experience, and you can make great money doing it. So I love Airbnb for that reason. So that's pretty much a little bit about me.
Boom, boom. All right, now we have Hong Mai, the wise.
The wise one.
Hey everyone, my name is Hung. For the last decade, I've been working in the hospitality space, and then I kind of fell into the short-term rental space here in the last 2 years. And since then, we've been able to get a little over 17, 18 properties under management across 7 states now.
Let's go.
So by the end of I think this quarter, we should end up with probably around 30 to 40.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, guys. There you have it. So, number one, you're talking to people that are actually actively doing the business, just so you know. So today we're going to do live case studies. We're going to talk about, like I said, deals that we are in the middle of doing. Like Hong might have one deal he's working on is in Louisiana, if I'm not mistaken. The great city is a city, right? It's not a state. No, it's a state.
Louisiana is a state.
New Orleans is the state.
New Orleans is the city.
New Orleans is a state. Okay, great. I'm on a African geographical day, guys. All right. So we're gonna talk about that, guys. So it's just a case study, and then Marta is gonna go over, like, she had some bomb ass Airbnbs, and I think she already sold most, and she have one right now that she's keeping. I'm sure she's working on others, but like, we're just gonna talk about, like I said again, you guys ask all the time, how are you finding these properties? Blah blah blah. Every one of us have a different process of doing it. So we're gonna start with Hong V Mai. Guys, you definitely don't want to miss out. You want to listen to this one because it's a fun one. He already told me everything about this deal. He's been working on it for a minute, but it's definitely a fun one. So Hong, let me first ask you, why Louisiana?
Yeah, so why Louisiana? It's one of those markets where there's always tourism coming into the space. There's Mardi Gras. There's always it's a travel destination for sure in the South. And one thing that I really like about it as well is that there is regulations there. And when I hear regulations, I hear that supplies will be limited, meaning not everyone will go into it. And so I'm willing to look into markets that have regulations. So, it insulate us a little bit from whatever's going on outside, where markets that have no regulations might have some challenges.
And that's funny.
One reason why I looked into it. But
that's super smart. That's funny because usually people are looking to run away from that, number one. Number two, they say it's saturated, meaning like people love doing Airbnbs here, so I'm sure it's saturated. Let me stay out of it. Like, if you're a serious investor, you look at it the other way around. That's actually a good thing. That's a good sign. Okay, so that's number one. That's the reason why. Number two, how did you find the deal?
I found the deal actually by a wholesaler friend of mine, and we were supposed to go into it, but some things happened, and so they ended up just selling me the deal. And then I basically raised the funds by bringing in a financing partner where they brought the entry fee and all of that stuff, and I brought my expertise, and then I was in charge of bringing in the capital of the furnishing and stuff like that. And you know, it all sounds great, which it is, because we made sure that this deal in particular, that even conservatively, that it was going to do really well, and our break even was really low. I think our break evens are like maybe 2,500 break even, and
What does break even mean for somebody who doesn't know?
Meaning that if I were to just rent out the house for 2,500 a month, I would break even. I won't lose money.
You'll be able to cover all your expenses. That's what you're saying, right?
Exactly.
Cover
Yeah.
all your expenses, not lose money.
Yeah.
You're not making money, but you're not coming out of you're not coming with money out of pocket, so you're not bleeding. Correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
And so this house comped it to produce about $8,400 a month.
Okay, let's stop right there. Okay. So you're telling me, Hung, number one, you didn't have to call the seller.
Right.
Number two, you didn't have to pull a list and skip trace it. Somebody else found it, negotiated the lead, right? And then brought it to you already with the creative finance terms, because this is a creative finance deal, right?
Yes. Yeah. This is a sub 2, actually.
Sub 2, fantastic. So you're telling me that you don't necessarily need to be the one on the phone negotiating, pulling the list, skip tracing. Okay. Number two, why did they bring it to you? Why not somebody else? Is it because this is somebody part of your network, somebody you helped before? Like, why did they bring it to you and not to Marta, for example? Like, why?
Yeah, so they brought it to me because we had like a relationship, and I know like this business is all about relationship. Like, you need to go out there, you need to talk with someone new every single day, because they, you need to let people know what it is that you're looking for, and also how can you bring value to other people. And for mine, people know me as like the short-term rental guy. That's all I talk about. I don't go on I talk about wholesaling or whatever the case may be. Right. I know wholesaling, but I don't know wholesaling.
That's my point. That's where I wanted to head to. So fantastic. So guys, people need to know what you do, who you are, what you do, what you specialize in. Like, I'm telling you guys right now, people don't reach out to me for just specifically Airbnb, because that's not all I talk about. But people do know me as an acquisition person and somebody that can raise private capital, right? And I'm also a connector. So when they reach out, but that's because I'm putting it intentionally out there. So that's what you've been doing. That's what paid off. Okay. And I'm sure they sent it to you because in a way, shape, or form, there's something that you did that was valuable to them, and they're like, I want to work with this person. Okay. So that's how you found the deal. So you didn't have to talk to them. So guys, you don't have to be the one pulling the list, keep tracing, just build your network. That's essentially what it is. Get on these Facebook groups, investor Facebook groups, post on your social media. Like, people overthink what to post. I'm telling you guys, this is huge. I don't care if you're just talking to sellers all day long, or you like trying to network, just something. It could be as silly as, hey, I just talked to a seller and they cussed me out because of this. Just post it. Somebody will reach out to you at some point about what you're talking about, okay? And the third thing, Hong, so when they decided, okay, this is not a deal for them, they assigned it to you, right? So they got paid on it, seems like, right?
Yep. Yeah, they got paid on it.
How much did you pay them?
I paid them $5,000.
Let's go. Guys, they made $5,000 on a deal that is not a deal for them.
Yeah.
Right? We have dozens like that. I have about, if the San Antonio one is the same, but anyway. So that's another thing, guys. So it's not like you bring a lead and you don't get paid. So that's number 3. They got paid. That's really, you gotta say that, Hong, so people know when they send you lead, they are getting paid.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
You guys decided, okay, you looked at it. Did you look at it directly as an Airbnb, like right out the gate? When they decided to assign it to you, was that your first exit?
Yeah, so it's always my first exit, because just like a hotel, I'm not going in there and looking like, oh, like if this thing doesn't work out, I'm going to turn it into an apartment. No, like my intention is short-term rental. Now, worst case scenario is, we'll do a midterm rental and we'll still get way more than that $2,500 break even point. So in worst case scenario, it's still not that bad in my experience. So I and the entry or the break even was low enough where I feel confident that I can go in there. Whereas someone else was looking at it as a more so conventional deal where, what happens if short-term rental doesn't work? Long-term rental doesn't make sense because rent in that area, it's like, really close to what the mortgage was. So it doesn't make sense for them, or below, if I'm not mistaken. So for me, I didn't care because I was like, well, midterm rental, it's not like you're putting the property up like it's a tear down and someone has to bring their own furniture. No, like we have furniture in there already. It's already designed, so it's not like it's a house that's like in the middle of a wreckage zip code. So it's a really nice property that's for midterm rental. And so even in that scenario, you're still going to be able to demand 80, 70% worst case scenario. Now, there's other ways around that where you can get premium nightly price even for a monthly stay, which is another topic.
I love how you look at it, because the way you look at things is like, hey, as long as it's lined up with my top line process, like I'm all about not short term. Let me take that back. Like Marta always says, the hospitality realm, right? I'm all about like Airbnbs and all those like vacation rental. So as long as the cash flow align with that type of hospitality business, I'm good with it. I don't care if it doesn't work as a rental, because I look at it like hotels. When they go somewhere, they're not looking at it as, oh, what happens if hotels doesn't work, right? They look at it always as just a hotel. So one question about this deal, Marta, do you have that same process? Like, do you also you don't care if it works as a rental or not when you do an Airbnb?
No, yeah, I'm actually a little bit different. And so I sold a lot of my Airbnbs, and the couple that I did keep, I have exit strategies for. But as far as purchasing more properties, I'm a little bit more careful right now, just because I'm a very cautious person. I don't do anything unless I know the outcome of it. And you can't always predict. But I also think what Hang has that is a little bit different is like, you're much younger. You can wait it out. You can do a lot of different things with properties. And for me, I'm like, I need to know that in the next like 5 to 10 years, I'm not going to lose a ton of money. So I'm being a little bit more careful when I purchase my properties, because I've been burned severely in the past by real estate, right? Like, so I have a past experience and I have a little bit of less time. So I'm much more picky. So I love exits. What's that?
Is that in 08? Did you get burned in 08 in 2020?
Yeah, I purchased a lot of flips right before the market crashed, like right before the collapse in 2008. I had multiple projects going. Like I was actually finishing my rehab. And when I went to actually appraise the property, it appraised for like $30,000 less than when I purchased it for. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I was stuck for probably 10 to 12 years carrying all these properties on my back as a single person on one income, my personal home and all the flips in Kansas City. So it was, like I'm a little bit more cautious because I've been there and I felt that pain on my back, So with Airbnb, when I purchase them, I look for exits. I'm moving into more, I've always done luxury Airbnb, but I'm trying to get into like super, like ultra luxury. I want to do luxury boutiques and super like multi-million-dollar luxury properties, mostly like in Scottsdale, because that's where I live. But I always think about like, what can be my additional exit strategy when Airbnb Airbnb is never going to go out of business, but regulations can put some people out of business. Like my friend in Kansas City just texted me saying right now, Airbnb, they just passed a law that you cannot have any short-term rentals in Kansas City anymore. I said, is it for existing hosts or for anybody? She said, anybody coming in can no longer get a license there, but existing hosts are okay. So regulations are changing and they may continue to tighten and get, a little bit less manageable. So for me, that is a fear. I'm not going to lie about it and say I don't have that fear. So I would love for my property to have another exit, like midterm rental, right? Or ability to convert that boutique hotel into an apartment. So that's just me, but everybody has different tolerance of pain, right? Like when you invest in stocks, they also ask you, what's your tolerance for risk? Like if you're very tolerant, you're going to invest in different things than if you're not very tolerant. I'm not that tolerant these days.
100%. So, and that's a great point, Marta. So everybody, guys, every single investor that I know or I follow or I watch or I study, everybody's so different. Because like your own personality and the way you are privately in life plays a role too, right? Are you a high risk tolerant person or you're not? That's super important. So as long as you know who you are, what your business model should look like, you're perfectly fine. Because for me, it's the same process. I don't want any deal where I don't have at least 2 exit strategies. I gotta have at least 2. So like, and I think Hung is the same thing, but it's just that he wanted to be lined up in that space. Like for example, here he said his worst case scenario is midterm. That's perfect for me. Like it doesn't have to be a rental, but I gotta have more than one exit. More than one. I only have one. My worst case scenario, and I heard this from a high level investor. He was like, buy big multifamilies, and he's like, well, I always have an exit. I start with my exit. What is my exit? Who am I going to sell to or whatever? If not, I'm not getting into it. If I have no exit, I'm not getting into it. So you gotta understand yourself. And are you a high risk tolerant person? And guys, another thing is there are certain mistakes I think in life. You know how the old saying, like you learn from your mistakes?
Yeah.
For me, like the way like there are certain mistakes you don't need to do in life, guys. Like when I talk to somebody like Marta, for example, Pace Morby, I listen to people like Grant that went through the '08, whoever, right? When I listen to their lessons and how they dealt with it and how they almost lost this, like I've talked to other investors privately that lost way more, Marta. Like when '08 hit, like I was talking to a seller 3 days ago. In '08, he had like over 20 flips going,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, do I really need to, if I see a fire, do I really need to touch it to be sure that it's hot? No, I know it's a fire. So like right now, I see a bunch of people getting in there saying, hey, no, flips still works. If you buy it here, buy it. I'm like, good luck with that. My last one that I sold in 2023, I'm staying away from flips until interest rates get somewhere. I'm not touching it. It's not. I've already learned from these people. Like, why do I need to go and make the mistake to learn? They've already made it for me. I'm gonna learn from their mistake. So that's another thing. Okay. So outside of that, Hung, so how did you fund this property? Like, what was your process for raising the private money?
Yeah, so I originally had my financial partner was funding the entry fee, and then I would bring the furnishing fee, which wasn't a huge deal. It was probably somewhere around the 15-20K mark, which is okay. But then some very interesting events started coming along, and the rehab side wasn't done correctly. There wasn't as good of a communication, and it's a team effort, so I take the blame on it as well. So definitely there could have been things that I could have done better, like having boots on the ground. That would have been fun. I guess me being young, I didn't have that, like, oh, what happens if a fire breaks out, or things didn't go the right way. I was very like carefree. So that was one thing. And then another events came up where because the construction side of things wasn't as well taken care of, the GC wanted their pay early, and because they didn't give out their last draw, because their work wasn't finished, they retaliated by stealing all of our furniture.
Wow.
Like $15,000 worth of furniture.
So you're telling me it's not always all pink and roses and
yeah. And so and I only found that out the day that my designers got there to put everything together. And we're paying them already, and then because there's no furniture to pay, now they're like in mix up with this whole situation with with the GC. So I had to pay them more money. Like I had to pay them 3 times more money than I thought I would have needed to pay them, because they had to keep coming back because things weren't there when they needed to be there. So your
designers flew from a different state. They flew in from a different state, right?
Yeah, they drove from a different state,
Oh
so they
my
drove
God.
into town from a different state, and so it just took a lot more time with holding costs, and then the waiting time of new furnitures needing to come in. It was just constantly those little things that really added up, and so we went over budget for it, and then I had to go and raise more capital for that property. But the bright side of things is it's done and it's live today.
Let's go. Can we see a picture of it? Can we see
Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can screen
so
share.
guys, it's not all rainy and
yeah.
I have we have a similar story for the one in Clinton, right? It was it was another fun one.
Oh man, it's definitely interesting for sure. So let me see. Show man. Oh,
and that's where also like your personality come in, because like I look at somebody like you, Hung, or me, like we're not here crying about it. It's like, hey, just move on. You learn anything from it and go out and make more money and stop freaking.
Yeah, no, exactly. And the thing is too is like, I of course it was like super stressful because not only that, the electrician that we apparently got was like apparently they stringed it the whole house together with like extension cords. I don't know.
Wow.
And I got a scare of like a $15,000 quote for electrician, like to rewire the whole house and to take out all my drywall, right? And so I was like scared, like like I don't know if I can curse out here, but I was scared at that point. But after talking to Mamadou, which is really the reason why we're all here, is so that we can network with people who have background in these sort of things. So when you don't know something, you can lean on the expertise of others, right? Like my confidence level, like it just took a nosedive because I'm not really savvy in terms of like the hard construction side. Like cosmetics, I have a pretty good handling on that, but in terms of like hard construction side, I didn't know, and so I take it for what it is. And after I talk with Mamadou's like, get 3 quotes and see if it's actually something that needs to be done. And so that froze me a lot because until I heard that, I was like, oh man, it's like $10,000-$15,000 where I'm going to find the money.
Again, your network is your net worth.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
And also too, we were thinking about pursuing the GC for the furniture that they had stolen. And after talking with another person that is like a sensei, like a guru in rehabbing, which I'm sure all of us here knows him. It's Oscar from Chicago.
Oh yeah, Oscar, yeah,
amazing. And I happened to be like with him that night when that had happened. So I asked him, and he's like, yeah, it's not worth it because, probably by this time he's probably sold it or whatever the case may be. And it's going to take forever for you to get that money back. You might as well just eat the cost and move forward. And so that's what I did, like he knows more than I do. And I'm not going to question, it's like, why can't I just go after? I'm not gonna because it will take much more of my energy to keep going after that money. Instead of going and raising more money and just moving.
You're not gonna get anything anyway. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna probably spend more money, and by the time you prove that who's wrong, who's right, you've already spent. So sometimes it's just you bite the bullet.
So this is the property here.
Oh wow, this is property.
Yeah. So this is the property, guys. It's a 3-2.
Oh man, you got a pool, bro. Nice,
yeah. It's a 3-2. It's got a spa as well.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
And
99.
So yeah. There are some other touches on this. Oh yeah, I didn't get a chance to tell you guys. So with my kind of style on how I like to do like designs and stuff like that, there are certain aspects to where I think there's still like, if there's an open space, I'd like to cover it. I don't like open walls. I don't like open spaces. And
is there a reason for it?
Because it just feels empty. Like
this room needs something.
Imagine if this room, for example, like there's a lot of open walls. So I typically possibly would like to cover it with a painting or something of the sort.
Mm-hmm.
However, the team that I had, they're great people. Don't get me wrong, they're great people. However, like based on what I wanted and based on like their time limitations, we couldn't meet somewhere, and so we kind of ended up at this scenario here. And you know, it is what it is. And
well, you can always add it, but it looks beautiful.
You can always add it later, right? You can always...
So we can just do it later. However, you know, it's like not my typical cup of tea to leave things the way it is now. Right. But it's still a great property. And actually, after looking at some of the comps in the area, we're like the best one in the area. There's not many that is similar in terms of like even the way it is now. It's there's not many that is very similar in this aspect. And so, so yeah.
Looks awesome.
So there you have it, guys. So here's the deal. As you guys can see, the way he found the property is because he built his network. He didn't have to pull a list, skip trace, none of that. Secondly, he built a network where he can go also and get advice in case something go wrong. That's not his expertise. It's the same thing for me. You come to me about an Airbnb right now, I'm gonna call Hongo Marta. Like, I'm not gonna start explaining to you this. I don't do that. Like, I can call the seller, close them. I can call not the title company, sorry, the private lender and close them. But don't come to me and start asking me design and stuff. I don't care about it. I love seeing it, but I don't care about being part of it. But I would call somebody like Hung and say, hey, Hung, what should I be doing here? Because I'm hiring, or whatever it is, right? So guys, as you can see, you can literally do deals, find Airbnbs or short-term rentals or vacation rentals, whatever you want to call it, without ever calling the sellers and negotiating or even using your own money. But guess what? There's no way around you having to build your network. There's no way around you having to talk to people, because how do you build a network? You got to talk to people. You got to show up to events. You got to be part of these Facebook groups, but you actually have to be active in those Facebook groups. You cannot just be a spectator that you're either going to post or you're going to respond to people that are posting, right? And so you got to build your net. You got to be part of these Zooms. Like sometimes you have Zooms where you can network with people in the chat. You know, I mean, really good friends I have now that we met in like Zoom chats. It's crazy how easy it is to network. So guys, one, either you have the money or you have the skill of going and finding these deals, or you network with the people that have all those things that you need. If you don't have all these three, then the only thing left with you is excuses, and you get to keep that. All right. So that was wonderful, Hong. I really love that. And I remember when we talked about this, I was like, shit, this is dope. Yeah, like to me, I'm a super high risk tolerant guy. Super high. Now I don't take unnecessary risk, but I love my best deals is always been the most difficult ones. Because like I learned so much from it, you know, so I enjoy the process. So let's go to Marta Miner. Guys, I'm telling you guys, you better connect with this lady if you need how do you call it, man? Listing auditing. Like go in her bio. I literally went on her bio on your Instagram, Marta. It's amazing. It's full of stuff, guys, full of resources. And she can consult you listing audit. Like you definitely want to connect with her because she not only passionate about this, she's a badass expert. So Marta, let's talk about one deal or two if you want that you've done. I know you used to buy traditionally. So how were you able to find those? Why did you choose that route? I'm assuming it's because you didn't know creative finance, but just go over it. Yeah. And then, the same thing. So tell us about one that you done and it was like maybe fun or whatever.
Yeah, well, first of all, what I wanted to touch on, what we kind of started earlier, is that my risk tolerance was lower because I've been through so much pain in real estate. But I will say that I would not trade it for anything, because the lessons that I learned during that time are the lessons that are carrying me through my current deals and being able to help other people and help others not make the same mistakes. Because everybody and their brother was telling me, file bankruptcy and offload all these houses, just get rid of them. Everybody was telling me that. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm actually going to hold on to them. I don't know why my instinct, like something deep inside was telling me, just hold on to these houses. Nothing is happening. You don't really have to get rid of them. It's a big inconvenience, right? Because constantly something was breaking. My property manager would call me on, like Thanksgiving Day, that the fridge broke in the house and you have to now replace it. I'm like, right now it's Thanksgiving. How am I supposed to do that? So this will definitely cause some pain points. But what I learned, like, for example, process of eviction, like I would never evict anybody again, because I know I've spent so much money and time and energy, and you will never get that money back. So all of those obstacles that come in when you are actively doing real estate investing, you learn so much that it's worth, all the hustle and the struggle. So I was not saying like, oh, I don't want to take any risk. I'm just much more careful based on my experience. So I was probably about Hang's age or maybe younger when I started investing. So I won't repeat the same mistakes. But I think what's amazing about youth and being so hungry is that if there was no Hangs in this world just going for it, then nobody would be doing anything, because people would just be scared of everything. You have to have that passion. You have to have that almost, I don't want to say it's naive, because it's not naive, but your risk tolerance is so big that you're just going for it. You don't care about regulations. You don't care about anything. You're just going for it. Some of it will be a failure and some of it will be success, but you're going to learn so much. And without it, you're just sitting at home and doing nothing, and just like dreaming and watching other people do deals. So I wanted to touch on that. But as far as the property that I purchased, the house I'm in right now, it's my lake house. It's my Airbnb that I did purchase traditionally, because back then I didn't know anything about creative real estate. I found pace maybe a year after I purchased this property. And I actually purchased it in the height of the market. Like, this is Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri. And you guys maybe have seen during COVID, some crazy people, like it was all over the news when people were coming to the lake to party, because this place never closed down. There were no regulations here. So people were coming here like crazy to party, be in the pool, thousands of people during COVID. Like, it was insanity. So the prices went up a lot, and everybody and their brother were moving to the Lake of the Ozarks because it was open. Like, Chicago closed down, a lot of cities closed down. And I was trying to buy a lake house for personal reasons at that point. So I purchased this. And right now, this is one of those big lessons in life. Like, if I purchased it creatively, I would have been much more satisfied than purchasing it just traditionally, because I had to put like $150,000 to $200,000 down. I rehabbed the whole place. I spent $100,000 on rehab and furnishing, and I'm kind of breaking even, but this is a seasonal rental. This is Lake of the Ozarks. This is me jumping in with both feet without knowing exactly like how it's all going to work out. We bought it. I'm like, yeah, it's a hot market for Airbnb. Everybody's like, right? Everybody, all these people from Chicago, this will be awesome. Well, COVID ended and the crowd stopped coming a little bit. I can't complain because my place is rented. Like, as of January 1st, my whole summer is already filled out. Like, if I want to even come in, I have to book it like probably 9-10 months in advance. So that's great. But there are other negatives, like my property manager is not really savvy with being able to rent it in off season. And I don't have the time with everything else I'm doing in real estate. I don't have the time to be a property manager. So like, there's always drawbacks. There's always positives and negatives. What is a positive for me is that this property will continue to appreciate. So eventually I'm going to sell it for much more. And right now it's paying the bills. I'm maybe breaking even. I make good money in summer, but I don't make any money in winter. So you have to, when you jump in on an opportunity, like I jumped on this one because it sounded so good at the moment, you have to have exit strategies, which currently I don't have exit. If I sell this property, I'm going to lose money. If I rent it out to somebody, I'm going to, like, long-term rental, I'm going to lose money. So I'm just like, hey, smile, go to the lake, enjoy it. People will pay for it in summertime. You will break even, and eventually you make money when you sell it. If I hold on to it for the next, 3, 4, 5 years, wait out this recession coming, and eventually I'm probably going to make, I don't know, $100,000, $200,000 on it, But all these little things are, if you don't actively do it, you learn nothing from it, and you don't learn from your own mistakes. Like right now, I'm very particular about properties I purchase, and I only purchase creatively. So you'll never see me in the bank applying for a mortgage because I know better. But back then I didn't, and it's great. I can be a great example to others.
Tell people about it. That's a good one. But before you move on, that Marta, I think even though this one, like you said right now, it seems like, number one, you having maybe at some point you might consider getting a better management. Number one, because if he doesn't know how to rent it through, the off seasons, like that's what a manager should be doing, right? But outside of that, though, I think there's one thing that you did well is you bought, if it's in a good market, you bought at a right location at least.
Yeah.
The location is good. So appreciation wise, if the market is good, you're probably going to sell this thing like 50, 60 over retail because of the location. So that's, you cannot lose on that end for the long term. But I think another lesson that me personally I take away from that is like, okay, if I buy a property like this, number one, okay, the location is important. But number two, I got to look at myself and see, okay, am I in a position like Marta right now that I can afford in case it's not performing or I'm negative? I have cash reserves that I'm not in a position where now I have to go and get foreclosed on or whatever, because you see what I'm saying? So it's really important, guys. You got to make sure either financially you are stable, or you have access to private lenders that can lend you both the money you need to do the property, buy it, and then have you holding your rainy day costs, or like don't even start, because that's a huge thing, right? So what I didn't get, Marta, is it like, was your process reaching out? Do you have like a realtor you work with and then they find the property?
So during COVID, there were no properties available on the market. We were actually under contract with another house, and it fell through because back then, like, everything was so tight that they fell through in contract with their property they were buying. So that automatically pulls the line of people that now are going to be thrown off, right? So we lost that house, and there was absolutely nothing else on the market. So we were working with a realtor who knew a couple that just purchased this unit like 6 months earlier. They actually made $200,000 on it so quickly because COVID raised the prices. And this was like a pocket listing for her. And we actually paid over the asking price to be able to even get in. Like, there was nothing available on the market. And the property was not like nice. Like, I didn't really like it, but it's 2-story, 4-bedroom, 4-bath condo with 2 living rooms right on the lake. The biggest dock for the boat. We don't have a boat, but when you rent out a property on the lake, you have to consider that if you don't have a dock, you're not going to be able to rent for top dollar, you know? So I took that into consideration, and I said, can I rehab that? Can I do it myself? And I did, even though it was remotely. Like, I had to drive here 2 hours. It's 2 hours away from my house where I lived. So I had to meet with contractors, and I rehabbed the whole place. And it's the nicest place in Lake of the Ozarks that I've seen. I haven't seen anything more remodeled or newer, but and it's not, you know, modern like Miami modern, but it's a Midwest modern, right? So I did my part. I did everything on my end, right? Found the listing, did everything, applied for mortgage. We don't have a very high rate either. It's pretty decent rate. The problem is that if I needed the money to exit today, I can't do that. I can't exit. I'm going to lose my rehab money, and I'm going to lose my furniture money.
That's because of the market.
Yeah, because of the market, because it slowed down quite drastically, right? Especially in Midwest. Like, Midwest
conventional?
recovered.
Did you take a conventional loan?
I took a conventional loan, yes.
Yeah.
I think
So
it's like
20%
4%. Yeah, I had to put 25% down, I believe, on this house.
What is the what didn't you like about getting like the process? Like, what would you say that was either too tedious or you didn't like it? Like, can you walk me through it? I've never took a conventional.
Gosh, we lost one of the properties because of the mortgage, because how long it took the guy. So he was like a mortgage broker, supposedly had access to all these amazing deals and everything. So it took him 6 months to be able to provide financing for us. And in the meantime, we lost the property, one of them that was actually a really good one. So we switched brokers in the middle of this deal. Like, I closed very quickly, and it was a local bank, much easier to work with than like a national chain, you know, because they're so strict these days. Yeah. So I remember my first mortgage when I applied before 2008 and before the crash. They asked me for, how much do you make? This much. Okay. Well, do you want to put something down? No, I don't really want to put anything down. Okay, cool. Here is your mortgage. And that's what it was. And no,
that's wild.
They used to call it 80-20 mortgage, which you borrow 20% to pay down. You borrow like from another bank or whatever to put down your 20%. It was 80-20 mortgage. I forget in like the mortgage terms what it's called, but I didn't put I put zero down. And I love those because you have nothing to lose, right? You walk away and you're done. But now they're smart, and they tightened all the rules so much that in literally I can pay cash for this property, and they see my bank accounts. I can pay cash, and they still don't want to approve you for the mortgage because my mom is on one of my bank loans in case I die. Like, they look at such stupid details that it's honestly impossible. I'm like, if I can get approved with my credit of like being 800 and the amount of money we have in the bank, then I'm not sure how you guys approve anybody. And that's amazing for us creative people, because these people that get rejected can now go and purchase homes from us when we wrap sometimes, right? Like when we do a wrap, those are the ideal clients. They have the money down, they have pretty decent credit, but because some silly thing that happened, or they have too many, I don't know, they're just silly things. Like, I will honestly tell you that the reason I was not able to refinance one of my properties is because I put my mom as, what is it called? Like POD or something on, like, if you die, my mom inherits, what is it called?
Power of attorney?
Kind of. It's like, when I die, my mom takes over my bank account, whatever it's the designation of that.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My bank said that is not acceptable, because then she's going to take the money and run. And I'm like, you want me to leave that money just sitting out there, and like, because you can't refinance me because you think if I die, my mom will take the money? Like, this makes no sense. The rules really have no sense anymore. So it's not that easy to get approved traditionally, even if you do everything right. And that's ideal client for creative people, because then people are looking for homes they can still purchase. They have money down, they have decent credit, they were rejected by a loan officer, and we can provide, solutions for people like that. But yeah, traditional process, I'm never doing that again. People try to trick me into that, but I'm like, no. Never, ever again. I'll either find my next property creatively, or I'm going to sit there and wait until I find it creatively.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. I never been through that process, but I have a lot of friends that has been through that process. Some of my private lenders are friends, from India. They're like in the tech industry and stuff, and all their investment properties is conventional. I'm telling you, I don't know how they're doing it. It's like one of them, he has no hair no more, just from doing this. Is every single property he's bought, and mind you, this guy is buying like in states like New York. When I say New York, I'm talking about in the middle of Queens, Ozone Parks. Like, the prices are insane. The minimum property that you can buy there is $800,000. Like, that's if you're lucky, like 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, right? Putting 20% down on each. So he's like, he buys one property, and then he waits another year because you gotta like now work again for, you gotta save now, and then your credit also, you gotta wait. I'm like, bro, like, how can you like? And then one day he discovered creative finance while talking to me on the phone through a cold call, and ever since it's like,
and that's the thing, Mamadou, is that unless you have unlimited resources, which most people don't, 20% down payment on the property, you can only get so much. And another thing that's very tricky with that is they'll only lend you personally on so many homes. There's a limit. Now, if you have a very high performing Airbnb, you can apply for credits showing that this is my income property, so don't count it against me. But you have to have really high performing properties. Not the average property, like a long-term rental, is actually working against you when you go for a traditional mortgage. You can't have that many of mortgages on your personal credit. So that's how I did real estate until I found sub 2. Like, it takes forever to build it up because you have to really move the pieces around. Number one. Number two, you have to save up for down payment. And all my properties are luxury properties. So I have to pull $200,000, $250,000, $300,000 down payments on each of them, right? How long is it going to take me to build up that money? I can buy maybe one a year, maybe 2, but that you're limited.
And what's funny? He was telling me, so this guy, one of them, he's looking to retire from his job. It's a great job, but to me, it's like, okay, now I'm not criticizing him because he don't know any better. He buys traditionally, like I said, these high-end properties, and he's looking to quit. And one day I was like, hey, how much, like, if you were to earn how much in passive income right now, you would quit? He said 10 grand. I fell off the ground. I was laughing. I literally, like, I was like, you kidding me? So you've been working for all these years because you're looking, so you buy rentals and you're looking to get to, like, how many rentals can you buy to get to 10 grand? Like, the average rental brings in what, $400?
Yeah.
It's not a great strategy.
That's not even your $400,
right? Not even your $400.
That's not
right?
even your $400. That's like
think
you're
about this.
you're a holding place until the end of the year when they move out and you see something breaks and then it goes back into the property.
Bro, and think about this. If you're in a position where you can afford, because this guy is taking his own money and putting the 20% down, guys. He's not doing like the 80-20 that you just spoke about.
Yeah.
So that means you have the money. So that means on the 800,000 purchase, how much is that? 20%.
Yeah.
I said, are you kidding me? Just with the down payment you put in right now, all you need is 2 freaking Airbnbs and you're retired. Like your job is done. You're done with your job. And that's all you need to use is your down payment.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, you gotta be, I said, you know what I mean? And then you have all those people also that I feel like sometimes people are silly. It's like, well, I prefer rentals because with the Airbnb, so many headaches, so many guests. I know common sense is not common, guys, but like nobody out here is asking you to fix your own damn toilet. It's hire management. Like when I see people complain about toilet leaks or like hire damn management. It's like there's nothing in this world without headaches. You know what I mean? Like that putting 20% down and dealing with these brokers for 3-6 months, isn't that a headache?
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of what you do, there's always a headache somewhere. You know what I mean? So,
in every job. Have you ever had a job, career, anything that has no headaches and it's just easy? It doesn't exist.
no,
So Airbnb is just a higher return, but you still have to be in the game. And people think that it's like a passive income. I don't know where it's passive. Like property manager helping you, but everything still goes back to you and how you manage your property manager and how you update your property. This house is at the lake, right? This condo. So I'm already noticing this is the brand new condo. Has only a year and a half or so since I rehabbed it. And things are starting to fall apart because it's water. Water damages things. You're going to have to rehab it, constantly put money in it. But as an investor, that is the price you pay for the end return. When you sell it, you're going to get that nice check, So everything has headaches.
I mean, listen, even I don't care. This is why people lose a lot of money on this crypto gambling and stocks gambling. They don't know what they're doing because everybody wants that magic button, right? I just click here and then I get a freaking 38% return. But guess what? Even I see people, I've spent days with people that only invest in crypto and all that. These people, they have more headaches than anybody. They wake up in the morning. Oh man, you've never seen so stressed people like that in your life. Right? And the other day I was talking to he's a realtor, but she likes is cryptos. I'm like, my problem is this, because we were talking about real estate and whatnot, right? I said, I love all the stocks and crypto if you understand it or you do it with legit people. There's a lot of scams in it. But let's say even with that, number one, you gotta look over your account all the time, right? There is a sort of headache. But number two, let's say you lose, let's say tomorrow somebody wake up and let's say you're investing in a gold stocks or whatever. There's no way you drive into a physical location and seeing that gold somewhere, by the way. It's not. There's no way. For the real estate side, because like she was talking about, why is people lending you private money on real estate? I don't understand on the stocks. I'm like, well, easy. Like my real estate, if I buy it right, she can drive there, she can smell it, touch it, see it. There's a physical location. I can give you address. I cannot scam you on it. It's regulated. Like crypto, you file bankruptcy on me tomorrow, gone. It's air, right? So it's like, I'm like, the same way you're so stressed out with your phone every single morning, I'm telling you, man, it's like a drug addict or whatever. So anyway, man, this was so good, guys. I hope you guys had value from this.
Wait. I wanna help answer Fei-Fei's.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
You put her thing up there, and I would feel bad if we didn't answer it.
Let's go.
I said, what would you have done differently if you had to restart the project again? Quick takeaway points for us to still in the beginning and all that good stuff, right? Without less experience. First thing I would do, I would put security cameras outside and inside the properties, like it's a bank. Like anyone who comes in and out of it, I'll be able to see who it is. So that's one thing. And then, that's one thing that I didn't do for this project. And I think that was probably one of the, reasons why I got into some of the situations that we were in. Second thing is having boots on the ground. Like Mamadou said, getting boots on the ground is so important. Someone that can go by there like 2-3 times a week, that can take a look at how progress is going or how it's not going, right? I didn't have anyone there. I'll probably look back into this and, like crap my pants. But, where I am, I was like, hey, things are going to be great. I have a partner that's going to take care of all of that side. So I didn't really even pay attention to it because that was their responsibility. But things happen and, you take responsibility for it. So yeah, boots on the ground, get securities in and outside of the property. So, at all time what's going on, and you can tell people, like if you have vendors that are supposed to come, like a pool guy, for instance, or a lawn guy, for instance, they say, how's the pool doing? What does it look like? And you can't tell them what the pool looks like because you don't know if your old photos that your, designer or whoever took it was good quality or not, or how far or how long ago was it, right? But if you have cameras, you can see in real time what's going on. So I think that's probably one of the main things that that I would do differently, and making sure you vet everyone that you're going to do business with, especially if you're going to be in a long-term relationship with. I probably could have done a better job of that as well. But yeah,
those are fantastic takeaways. That's in anything you do. I don't care, guys, if you're doing a fix and flip. I don't care if you're renovating a property. If there's renovations involved. So key takeaways here, guys. Number one is put cameras, ring cameras, because nothing is worth the investment all day long. So from the beginning, you know who's walking in and out. So number one takeaway for me from what Hung just said is make sure you have a camera so you know what's going on. The second thing is Hung did make this mistake. If you're working with GCs, always get a minimum of 3 different beads, 3 different quotes, okay, from people. That's number 2. Number 3, you always want a physical boots on the ground, always. And they have to have, your boots on the ground is required, guys. They have to have a renovation, fix and flip experience, guys. Now, you don't just take somebody just because they're close to the property and have them as boots on the ground. That's not a project manager. So usually I've done this before, Hung, is I didn't have any of my network that live in that area. You know what I did? I found a realtor that sold the fix and flip prior. And then when I talked to her, she told me that she already sold multiple fix and flips. So she knows what to look out for. Guess what I did? I offered her literally $3,000 just to look out for me in that area. And she was willing to do it. So that's a project manager. Do not take people that they don't know what they're doing. Like if they walk in, they don't know what to look out for. They don't know what to send you, right? So it doesn't make sense. So, and pay people for their time, because otherwise they won't do it. That's just the reality of it. So those are the 3 takeaways that I took away from that, from what you just said. So any last word, Marta, also?
No, I think the most important thing that I've learned is taking action, because every action will lead to some results, whether good or bad. It really doesn't matter, because all of it is good. All of it will lead you to improving and learning something that you can use in the future. And like looking back at my real estate journey, every single thing happened for a reason, to learn a skill, to learn how to do business, how not to do business. But the biggest thing that I can say changed for me drastically when I joined this community is not doing deals by yourself, and having somebody like Hung mentioned that you can call and ask for advice, having a network of people that can advise me on, like, if I get stuck in something. Before, I only had my instinct to rely on. Like, I just had to go by my instinct, and thankfully it led me in a good direction. But I'm not sure how many people depend on their instincts when they do business. So having that community around you that you can ask questions, you can get support, you can sell that property to, in case it doesn't work out for you, it may work out for somebody else on your big network, right? So number 1, do deals, go out there and do it. Even if you get burned, it's fine, it's okay. It's just part of the process. And then secondary, don't do real estate without a network. Like this community, we all belong to Sub2 community, has been probably the biggest blessing that's happened to me in a very long time, because I have so many people in every aspect. It doesn't matter what I want to do in real estate. I know somebody that does what I want to do, and I can reach out and get support, help, just even, share my successes, my wins with, and complain about problems that I'm having, so that's the takeaway.
I agree. No, that's a huge one. That's so, I feel the same way. I am never doing deals alone again. Like every single deal, I gladly do deals with somebody that I like, that I vibe with from the network. I don't care if they're a funding partner, they're just a man. Like I just love it. It takes a burden off my uh, plate. Number one, number two is more fun. Number three, two brains is better than one. So it's just I have no deal, guys. Like I think I've only done one deal by myself, and I was like, man, this is not fun. It's like so I enjoy every single deal I do. Up to today, there's always somebody involved in some way, shape, or form, and I love it. Like I love it. So I love that, Marta. So how about you, Mr. Hung? Let's bring out the Bible, guys. Boom.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna ride off on what they kind of just said is it's more fun together to do it with people and people you like and trust. And so one of the really cool thing about this business is that it requires you to have to network with other people. Like you are going to fail if you do this by yourself. And the cool thing about doing all of this together is that you can not only grow together and learn together, but you can make money together. And let's say you're risk adverse as well, you can split the consequences, right? Like splitting the profits also means splitting the responsibilities, meaning if they're an equity partner or whatever the situation may be, if there's an expense coming up that costs $1,000, well, it won't be your $1,000 that is just you. It'll be $500 instead because there's two of you, right? And so things that you're not competent in and that you're not confident in, you can lean on the experiences of others that have already went ahead of you around the corner that you can lean on. And that was literally how I felt about this property in New Orleans. I was at one point, it was hard to sleep because I didn't know how to navigate the rehab side. And I had friends like Mamadou and Oscar for me to like lean on, because I'm not gonna lie, there was points where I was just petrified to even move because there was a good like 1 to 2 week time span where the property was just sitting there. Like the partner just kind of let it go and kind of gave it the rein to me. And I'm like, I have no idea how the rehab side like really works. They're all tapped out. They're like, see ya, Hung, you got this, right? Like they think that I have a river of money coming out of like my butthole thing, right? It was really stressful. And so back to what I was saying, it's fun to do it with friends because you can lean on them when you don't feel as competent in certain things. And I would never imagine myself getting a call with someone. Like yesterday, I was on a call. Like I've learned now, I have a lot of people that like ask for my help and ask for my time, but during the day, I'm always like in something like this. And so now whenever I'm in the car and I'm driving somewhere, I'll just grab my phone, I'll go in my DMs and I'll start calling people. And they're like, hey, I didn't realize you're going to call me. So I just call people and I was like, hey, what's going on? How can I help? And I help someone better structure their JV potentially situation of, they were willing to give up half of their equity for someone to bring in the money. And they said, hey, is that a good deal or not? I said, it could, right? Like you start where you are. And worst case scenario, you got a free house and didn't have to bring in your money into it. And so there was a lot of conversations in there, but I was able to provide that experience because I've been through it now. And I was giving, a 50-year-old guy, advice on how to buy a property or how to JV. It's crazy because I wouldn't have thought that I'd be able to do something like that, a year ago or 2 years ago. Right. So it's really fun. And that's why we do this show is to provide that for you guys.
Yes.
Boom, 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 guys. So with that being said, what else can I add here, guys? They gave you everything you need for today's show. This was amazing. I've learned so much just listening to them. Thank you, Marta, for bringing up your experience with 08. Like, I love hearing it because I just suck up and learn from it. And I'm somebody like, You tell me A, do A, and then I do B. I don't overthink shit. I'm like, okay, you've been through the experience. You had it for us. I don't need to go burn myself. So I love these things, guys. Hong, thank you. When you called me about that Louisiana property, I've learned so much from it. Because like just talking through it is like, dude, I would have done this. I would have done this, do this based on my experience. And I've learned it, by the way, by being burned by JV partners. The way I look at a JV partner now is like, number one, if I don't like you as a person, if you don't vibe, I don't want to partner up with you, because it's almost like a marriage. Yeah. I'm gonna talk to you often. We're gonna do like, if I'm not having fun around you, if you don't, you're not the type of person that like to see others win, and I like to see you win, is like, okay, I don't want that partnership, right? So I've been burnt by JV partners. That's how I learned these things. When we talk Hung, and I tell you, hey, dude, this is because I've been through the same process. And so now I'm very upfront contract. Hey, just so you know, this is what the relationship look like. Just so you know, it's not black and white, because like if we're getting into, especially like most of our network, we do like equity partnerships. It's like, okay, you bring in the funds. I'm not just giving you a return on your money. You're also equity partner. So it's like there's responsibilities that comes with it. I don't just want you to sit there and let all the responsibility be on me. I need your help as well. Like I love hearing your ideas, blah, blah, right? So make sure it's a good fit. Right. So for me, guys, I'm not going to add on. I think they did everything. Thank you so much, guys. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We go live every single Tuesday, and we bring you all things about short-term rentals, vacation, home rentals, hospitality business, whatever. Guys, every single Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out. And I'll leave you. Be sure to have these 3 words in your life, guys. Boom. Okay. You got to have this in your life. You got to be bold. Guys, build your confidence up. Confidence is everything. Confidence is sexy. I don't care what you want to do in life. If you want to be successful, you got to have some boldness in your life, and you got to be obsessed. Okay, guys, you got to be obsessed. The other O is for ongoing. Your process is forever ongoing. You never stop learning. One thing I've learned about entrepreneurship is that it's forever. Like you had one goal. My first goal was to make $10,000. I made $10,000, and I'm like, shit, why wasn't my goal $100,000? So now I go for bigger goals, right? So it's an ongoing process. You never stop. And the last M is for mindset, because your mindset translates into money. So you got to change it. I had to brainwash myself and forget about everything I learned from my culture, everything with my bad friends that I used to hang out with. So guys, get some boom in your life. This is not a gimmick. All right, guys? Until next time, boom, boom. Boom. We see you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And this was Airbnb Jamz. I'm your host, Mamadou Diallo, and I was with my co-host, Marta Miner and Hong V. Mai. Make sure you follow them on social media, guys. Peace.
Bye.